Now, for the quote of the pod, as you could probably tell by my intro, we're going to be talking about the newly named, I don't know if that's the right word, the new football team on the National Football League circuit called the Washington Football Team. So if anybody had any confusions about the Washington Redskins team being different from the Washington Football Team, I just cleared that up for you. So you know that the Washington Football Team is the same as the Redskins, but the Redskins is an offensive term to the Native Americans, so it's just the Washington Football Team now. So just to clear that up for people who might have wondered what happened to the Washington Redskins franchise, it's just now called the Washington franchise. They've kept the same colors and everything, but they did say that this is a placeholder for a new name. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. As the article states, it said on July 3rd. What did I say, July 3rd? I don't even know. They was talking about keeping players and fans in the process of them coming up with a name, but obviously they didn't, because when they came up with the name Washington Football Team, a lot of people were, I don't think upset was the right word, but they was like, you could have done better. But we're going to get to my opinion in a second. But yeah, that's how the fans was feeling. They was feeling that this was a lazy attempt at a rebrand. And even if it's a placeholder, they still killed the name. So some of the teammates, some of the players on the Washington Football Team were excited about this. Well, not excited, but I don't know if they'll send pictures or whatever to promote the name change. But some of the prominent players on the team put out tweets and stuff talking about how they can't wait for the season and how the jerseys are fire or whatever, because it was I think a concept art of the jerseys, but instead of having a Redskins logo, they changed it to just having the number. So for the most part, a lot of the players, I mean, what's a player gonna do? Come out and say they hate the name? Like, you play for the team unless you're trying to get traded. Like, who's that one guy, Jamal Adams from the Jets? I think he went crazy on everybody. The coach, GM, he was trying to get up out of there, but he did. They ended up trading him to Seahawks, but that's besides the point. I'm talking about the Washington Football Team, one of the best names in the league. But I'm kidding, by the way. But these tweets say, basically, this article was showing a lot of tweets reacting to the newly named NFL football team, and people were just saying that calling themselves the football team is just a terrible way of rebranding. But as we'll get to in a second, a lot of players were excited about this. Like Darren Payne, I think I'm saying his name right, a player from the Washington Football Team. He put a lot of fire emojis over the picture of him photoshopped into the new outfits or the new uniforms. Ryan Kerrigan, one of the captains on the team, he put out a post. So I think a lot of these was like a PR stunt, not like a stunt, but like just to show that the players are supporting the name change. Like there's not a civil war going on in the franchise. Basically, they're trying to have some of the key players come out and co-sign their changing of their new name. And one of the funniest things I saw on Twitter about the newly changed name was somebody saying that the Washington Redskins football team is like when you start off with the 2K generic shoe. And I thought that was pretty funny, because even though the name is generic, a lot of people are still killing it. But they do the same things with other franchises, like when Apple comes out with a new phone, or when Xbox comes out with when Microsoft comes out with a new Xbox, people do the same thing. They just compare it to things and just hype up the image even more. So I don't know if they're intentionally making fun of it to bring more light on the name change, but there's still, like most people say, any promo is free promo, or any promo is great promo. I don't know how to say it, but anyways. So basically, getting into what I think of the name change, I think it's pretty good. I mean, if it's a placeholder, which they say is a placeholder, it could end up being the actual name, but I don't think it will. I think it's a pretty good change. I mean, the reason for changing the name in the first place was because the Redskins term was offensive. So why not just take Redskins off and keep Washington, so you can keep the colors, you can keep every tradition except for the ones that's related to Redskins, and just replace those with something else, which they said they are later down the line. So I don't get why a lot of people are upset about the name change. Another player that liked the jerseys was Dwayne Haskins, a player off of the Washington football team. He co-signed it as well. But back to my personal opinion, I believe that the name is really good. Like the jerseys aren't even that bad. I mean, granted, Alabama's a really good football team, but people don't really complain too much about the Alabama uniforms. And these are basically Alabama uniforms with gold instead of white. Well, not gold instead of white, but more. It's like if Florida State and Alabama combined. That's basically what the Washington football team jerseys look like. So I think they look really good, in my opinion. I feel like the more simple it is, the better. And imagine if they came out with like a name like with the Washington Warriors or Warriors or something. Like, they'd be so confused with the real basketball Warriors. But I don't know if that's a good comparison. A lot of people just complain about things because, you know, they don't really have too much to talk about. But the Washington football team is not going to be good. I mean, in the next season, I don't think. Do y'all think they're going to be good? Like, let me know down in the comment section down below. But Washington football team has never been a contender for any type of playoffs game or Super Bowl. Like, maybe when Kirk Cousins was there, but all he was saying was something like, what was he saying? See, I done forgot what his catchphrase was. He had a catchphrase every time he did something good in a key game or a really anticipated game. Oh, I think he said like, "You like that" or something. But now look at him. I mean, come on, the Washington football team. But anyways, yeah, I don't really see the two. I don't see why this is such a big deal. But I guess a lot of people didn't like the fact that a team can change the name and have it be simple. I don't know. I don't really know what's the big deal with that. Even LeBron called them out, which was surprising because he don't really like the things he's focusing on right now. It's surprising he just touched on this, but I guess he don't only have to speak on heavy topics. He can joke around with stuff like this. But basically, he was saying, if I can find it, he was saying that just waking up. This is what he tweeted. Just waking back up from my pregame nap to see about the Washington football team. He put like 20 million question marks. Is that real? Question mark. No way. With an exclamation point. Oh man, they had a thorough, intense, long board meeting about that one. So he was really just getting his jokes off. I don't really know if he cares that much about it, but I think KD responded, but we don't talk about too much about KD. You know, we gotta let him rehab so he can come back and help my boy out, Kyrie, and get a championship. But anyways, so that's all I had really about the Washington football team. Apparently a lot of people were up in arms about the name change, so I just wanted to touch on that because yes, a lot of people cared about it, and that's something that was trending. Like, it was like one of the highest trending things throughout the week. Like, it kept coming back up. You know how like something trends and it goes away? It kept coming back up. So I was like, well, might as well cover it if everybody seems to be that upset about it. But I don't really think it's too big of a deal. Plus, I think somebody, I don't know where I heard this, but somebody told me that the reason, one of the reasons, like, you know, everybody always has their conspiracy theories, but they were saying that one of the reasons Washington didn't pick a name was because when they announced that it was taking Redskins off and choosing a new name, I guess somebody went and copyrighted all the animal in the world. Like, he copyrighted everything, like everything. So plus, I don't know if that's far from the truth, because I know a lot of people do that sometimes. Like, people do it all the time where they'll take a celebrity's handle on a social media app and then the social, not the social, the celebrity will have to buy the name back off of them. So when they want, like, let's say if Cardi B wanted to make, well, I don't know if she does or not, but wanted to make a TikTok and somebody already had the name Cardi B. If she really wanted to be on TikTok with her name Cardi B, she would just hit up the person and pay them to get the name back. And some people do that specifically for that reason. So I don't think it's a bad hustle at all. And I don't really think that's what kept the Washington from picking the name. I just think that rebranding $1 billion franchise is harder than people think. So going with the name Washington Football Team, it's the simplest way to think to give yourself more time for a rebrand. But that's what I have for the quote of the pod. So remember, the quote of the pod was the Washington Football Team, the greatest name in the NFL. And so we'll leave it at that, and let's switch it up a little bit.